Bullet point, the train. And here is James Morrison, shoes soggy, raincoat dripping, dashing down Park Avenue. Another damp, drizzly November in his soul, another Tuesday in the rain. Dashing for the 5:09 train. Down, down he flies to the depths of Grand Central, the missing level of Dante's Hell, running down the soot-coated platform of track 101. He pushes his way into the last car, heart in throat. He has one mission, home. Home for dinner with the wife and kids, for once. Commuters, rain-soaked in wool, wafting the bouquet of wet dogs, clutch dripping umbrellas and sodden newspapers, crowding the aisles, vying for streets. James presses through car after car, scuffling over muddy floors, a sloshing mess of detritus and overturned coffee cups, past bankers and administrators, nightly poker games in the corner, students blaring Nickelback and Maroon 5 from cheap headsets. He sees his target, the coveted open two-seater. Success. Raincoat tucked away on the overhead rack, he folds himself into the cracked vinyl seat. Express to New Haven, first stop Westport, the PA crackles. Watch the closing doors. The seat next to him is empty. James calculates a 70% likelihood it will remain unoccupied. He places his briefcase on it as added insurance, crosses his fingers and his legs. Someday soon, he'll be relaxing in the back of a town car. This is his vow. On the platform, a few stragglers rush for the train, stymied as the doors mercilessly squeeze shut. James sighs with relief. Made it. The train grunts and creaks as it makes its way out of the station. Ahem, he hears as he stretches out. A bedraggled woman, poisonous orange hair wrecked by the weather, raincoat dripping, shakes her umbrella onto the floor. Ahem, she repeats. Is that seat taken? James, well-bred wasp that he is, slides the briefcase onto his lap. Please. Thank you, the woman croaks as she lowers herself down. The duct-taped seat wheezes with years of stale flatulence. So nice to know there's one noble person left. Noble. The word mainlines shivers. How could she know? James has been fretting over one thing. It occupies his every thought. In 1 month, he is about to learn if he will be named partner at Noble Management, the prestigious consulting firm. An honored and feared consulting firm. To hear the words, a noble man, makes him flush with newfound hope, an omen from a wayward witch. When the famed Noble Partner Client Conference arrives in less than 30 days, will he indeed become a noble man? As a junior partner, it's his one and only hope. Long legs shoved against the seat in front, James struggles for a comfortable position. This way and that he turns. The bedraggled woman, now disgruntled, eyes him. Tight fit, he says. Maybe the new trains will have more legroom. She shrugs. Supposed to be rolling them out this year. She pulls a paperback out of her bag. They promised 2007, James said, shaking his head. Maybe next. Who knows? 2008 is supposed to be a good year. But don't hold your breath. She opens her book, The Gift, the current self-help bestseller that promises everlasting riches for those who understand its secrets. Up and down the aisles in palms and purses. The gift, the gift, the gift. James opens his briefcase, attempts to craft a lap desk for himself, balancing folders stuffed with evaluation forms to fill for his underlings, for himself. Noble's 360-degree evaluation process determines a consultant's true value. Can this one impress the C-suite? Does that one know what the so what is? Are they directionally correct? Can they drill down, find the must-haves, pass the sniff test, provide the takeaways? Soon he is mired in words and phrases concocted to impress, certain to confound. Like his underlings, James' self-evaluation will be matched by dozens from superiors and colleagues alike, judging him, determining if he has what it takes to become partner. And above them all looms his evaluator, a man of incomparable influence. James is at their mercy. In this professional meritocracy, only a few junior consultants will be elected partner. The competition is steep. He's been at it so long, filling in blanks and checking boxes. He knows all about what he is supposed to be to noble management and what the world expects of him. But what is James to himself? At this point, he no longer knows. Husband, sure. Father, of course. Management consultant? What the actual fuck is that? Did he actually go to college and graduate school to become something that he can't even define to the kids? This is where he gets lost, where the race to succeed has consumed the man who once was James. What is deep inside? Is there even a deep inside left? What matters to him now? He has become a racehorse, a thoroughbred, ready for race or pasture. He just knows if he can hold on for 1 month, he'll know. Oh, James had once upon a time fancied himself an artist, even took a stab at it. After intense arguing and finagling, he managed freshman year at Pratt Institute. Graphic novelists were all the rage, and he believed he had a chance. This was the one thing he'd done all on his own, his talent, his drive, his merits, until his father's foot was put down on his neck. Comic books? What would people at the club say? Childish fantasies. No son of mine. Next you'll be dating a Jew. Father knew best. And he knows the best. So paths were cleared for James. Yale, Harvard, from the manor born and titled, with a father of refinement and connections. Noble connections. It wasn't about what he wanted. It never had been. But then sometimes there is this. When he finds himself feeling sorry for himself, when his woe is me lament takes over, he thinks about all the talented people out there who never got discovered for anything at all. How Van Gogh never sold a painting, or how Moby Dick was dismissed as a critical failure when it was first released. Hell, even the first gospel wasn't written for decades after Christ was crucified. All things considered, he didn't have it so bad. And now, nothing else mattered but noble. He wanted, he desired, he envied with a greed and lust he could no longer contain. This is the deal he made with the devil, devised together with his wife, Rebecca, a Jew, much to his father's chagrin. He would see Noble through partnership, eventually senior partner. Of this, Rebecca was adamant. As she put it, I'm not giving up my career for you to linger in middle management. He'd be the kind of dad who called his boys by their names, not the generic son he heard from his father, if he heard anything at all. For the deal to work, he had to succeed. 1 month. Like many of his station, James was born with the gift of glib, an easy way about him that masked his inner self. This certain panache complemented his other noticeable gift. He was the lucky recipient of magic strands of DNA that produced a human Cadillac. Blue eyes, cleft chin, hair that waved like tsunami. It gave him a leg up. If this is what it took, if he could barter good looks the way he bartered his father's connections, he was all for it. In theory, the bedraggled woman, boiled wool coat now giving off the faint whiff of mildew and cat urine, cranes her neck to look down the aisle. He's supposed to be here, she mutters. I'm sorry? My husband, he's supposed to be on the train. She digs in her purse, pulls out her flip phone, and curses. You won't get a signal until we're above ground. I know that. She snaps her phone shut and returns to her book. The train grunts forward, gradually picking up speed, passing through the dark caverns that spread beneath Manhattan. James sets his evaluations aside and pulls out a presentation. The dreaded PowerPoint deck. The favored instrument of torture for consulting firms worldwide. Each client study generates mountains of paperwork produced by a sweatshop of eager young associates and analysts who crank out corporate literature for the men and women in charge. For James, tonight, they demand his immediate attention. Bullet, charts, and graphics are the backbone of consulting, where ideas are compressed and synthesized into bullet learnings. Oh, one of those unfortunate noble transgressions of the English language. Bullet action items, bullet recommendations. The bullet points are an aggressive means to make claims. Consultants prefer 3 of them at a time. Bang, bang, bang. And here, the real James emerges, unbidden. As he struggles to stay connected to the stultifying work, his hand scribbles across the page. Vestigial remnants of his art, doodles, often baroque with details, crawl around the margins, spilling over pie charts, sometimes obliterating what lies beneath. Dark and comic, wicked and perverse, people falling, crashing, running. Also this habit. He absently clicks his teeth in the rhythm to something in his head. A song, a phrase. Tonight it's an old favorite. A poem, first recited by his British nanny, well, while his mother was off for a day at MoMA and Sept. James, Morrison, Weatherby, George Dupree, took great care of his mother, though he is only 3. Is this who he is? A poem by A.A. Milne, a precious mama's boy? Or is he Papa's protege? James, Morrison. It was always James, not Jim. Jim Morrison elicited the oh-so original shouts of, "Light my fire." He reclaimed the poem as his mantra, spurring him on through finals, core exams, and noble events. The train thrums, the crowd hums, teeth click, and James falls into a cramped sleep before emerging from the dark tunnels into the grim, gray evening. James. A sudden jolt. James awakes with a start, head banging against rain-spattered windows. On the next track, inches from his own, another train glides toward the Connecticut suburbs, the local. Framed scenes and blurred windows pass by, people napping, yapping, poker computer games, slumped over New Yorkers and Dan Browns, there and then gone. And then a face. Is it possible? Is he looking back at James? Quick, James turns away. A glance back, the face is gone. The other train drifting ahead. Another clunk, and the 2 trains draw closer, window to window, and the man. He's back. And there is no question. He is looking at James, smiling. Right at James, who can't help but stare back, hypnotized, mesmerized, firm jaw, salty gray hair, a toothy grin that never reaches his devilish eyes. With feverish fingers, James scribbles impressions of the face on the page. Fluorescent lights on the other train snap off. The man vanishes, leaving James and his reflection shimmering on the window. He studies his drawing, scratching a shadow here, a line there, looking up again. Impossible. The other train has moved ahead, and still the man is watching. Another car, another window, moving backwards to keep pace with James. Staring, leering. The smile never falters. Pulse pounds in his neck. Sweat spills down his Hugo Boss. He is 8 years old, screaming on the Rye Playland zombie castle. Ghosts and goblins pounce. He splays his fingers across the window, pushes his face forward, even though he wants to hide. The final car pulls into view. Relief. Dark. Empty. In the back, a sad, sloshy Dilbert, slouched, drooling, face pressed against window, tongue out, glasses askew. Wheels screech, and the face, the smile, out of the darkness, hovering over the sleeping man. Does anyone else see? A glance to the woman on his right, enwrapped in the gift, then back. The fluorescent lights in James' car blink off. Power surges, fans and murmuring fade, silence, only his heart pounding, pounding. Across the way he sees James. He sees Morrison. A flash of silver plunging into fat neck. Blood arcs across the window. The poor man, face shoved against the glass, sliding down in a finger paint smear of blood. The stranger, that leering apparition, looks up, calm, smiles at James. A self-satisfied grin, eye to eye, right at James. James, Morrison. Mouth agape, no breath, inside, heartbeat hammering, across the tracks, blood-drenched window, grinning gold, the train itself, all dissolve into the rain, into the night. His jaw chews and chaws for words that cannot form. Fluorescents and fans snap on with a shudder. The babble of the train returns. Back to the mumble, the muttering on phones, the men and their dames. And James, unable to react, unable to think, sits motionless. Above him, right above, the emergency brake dangles. He could. If he could. He could. Nothing. What is it? Anything? Blood and gore? Then what? On his lap, the stranger leers, a sketch, a comic. At James he leers. He sits. James, Morrison.
Wow.